I am a perfectionist. I don't think that's a positive thing. I think it's actually really fear masquerading as perfectionism. But yeah, I think sometimes the times when everything's meant to be perfect and you feel like you built it up so much in your mind and it fails, I think there's always, it's not a failure, it's a lesson. It's always meant to be.
Has your family dinner felt like it's been on autopilot recently? We're all looking for ways to feel closer to our favourite people, and the Medibank Family Roast is a card game that helps you ditch the small talk for something more meaningful. Because at the end of the day, a tasty conversation is the best thing you can serve up. Search Medibank Family Roast. Live better with Medibank.
You, in your early career, like me, you worked for Mia Friedman.
Sure did.
Tell me, when you were in your early 20s working at Cosmo and then Harper's Bazaar, who were you at that stage in your life?
Oh, it was such a great time. I came in at 23 knowing nothing about beauty editing at all. But I'd worked in kids mags and music mags before then, so I'd grown my teeth a little bit. But I'd just come out of a big breakup and I really felt like it was my Carrie Bradshaw moment because I was suddenly in this glamorous job at this glamorous building with all of these glamorous women who I'd looked up to for so long. And it was pinch me moment. And so I embraced it. I started, dressing up for work, which you had to anyway. And my confidence really bloomed. And it was the first time I'd really felt like part of a team and part of something bigger. And I had not had a great relationship with other women before that. I always sort of I had a really good best female friend at school, but I had a lot of male friends. I just thought they were easier, less bullshit, and we just would be idiots together. And there was more emphasis on comedy with the boys. So it was the first time I fell in love with women, really, and saw them not as competitors or as boring and whatever I'd thought of them during school, and just fell in love with women and being part of something really fun.
When you were a beauty editor, did you feel like it was enough? Like when you're at that stage in your career and you are getting all these opportunities and you're writing about beauty and really making a name for yourself, were you more ambitious than that?
Yes, and the proof came quickly because Mia quickly put me in charge of lifestyle as well, and I started writing dating columns. I had all of the time in the world and all of the energy, and I just wanted to do everything. Started a beauty blog, so I'd write that in the mornings before work, jump on the bus, going to work, then go to events afterwards. And then I remember sort of feeling like I needed to move on, like I'd been at Cosmo for a few years. And it was actually Mia who said, can you write a book or something? Like just stay here but do something else to keep you busy. And I'd always thought I might write fiction. My father's an author, and I thought beauty editing was just this mad world. I couldn't believe it existed. Like you get sent stuff to play with and that's your job. That's actually your job and you get to take it home. So I was blogging, working full-time, writing a column and writing a book, and that was just enough.
And Mia approached you at one stage for the deputy editor job or was some kind of promotion.
Job, yeah.
And you said no because it would involve people management and leaning more into the business side. And you probably don't know this, but Mia uses you as an example in a lot of like mentoring conversations where she's like, which path do you want to go down? She calls it like the ladder or the lattice.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can be a Zoe. And then she offers you as one option. And it's like, well, no one's going to want to go down the other lane. Everyone just wants to be Zoe. So she says how you said no to that because you didn't want to do that
there was no writing
the role, and you would have been sacrificing your creativity.
Yeah.
How were you so self-assured at that point to say no?
Hubris. I really think it was hubris because there is a lot of creativity in being an editor or a director of something, because you ultimately now as a founder, I understand you're setting the visionary tone, you can shape a magazine, you're pulling a team together to create something incredible together. But at that time, I saw it just as a management role and a business role and a meetings, and the only writing you did was the Ed's letter. I was like, oh God, no. I'm a writer, and I am a writer, and writing informs everything I do if you really drill down on it. So I saw that pretty clearly, and it probably was pretty offensive back then at like 26 to say, oh, no thanks. But I just knew that it wouldn't be enough writing for me.
Are you good at saying no?
And also being an editor seemed really stressful.
Yeah.
A lot of public-facing stuff. And that scared the shit out of me. Even as a beauty editor, you would have to present to brands, and heart attacks.
Which is ironic now, given what you do.
No, I still get heart attacks. But yeah.
But so when you said no to that, is that something you're good at, saying no when things come up that are just not something that serves you?
I love no.
And how do you say no?
It took me a while to learn it, but it is a real skill. And there are a few key thinkers that I always look to, like Kevin Kelly and Seth Godin, who are just firm believers in, that old adage of when you say no to them, you're saying yes to you. Mm-hmm. But it's really about the more busy you get, having children, having a business, trying to feed all these different mouths, you just have to be a lot more careful about what you say yes to. And saying yes to a gig or a job or something, it's never just that 2 hours on stage. Mm-hmm. As you know, there's a lot of admin and emailing and sorting out and contracts and travel and all of those things. And it's a real privilege to be able to say no to a lot of stuff now. But I have reached that point because I've done the 20 years earlier of building up that confidence, but also that comfortable position to be able to have my own business and writing books in my family, and that's all I do.
How do you say no? Like if somebody is contacting you, because I'm such a people pleaser, and it's probably one of my big issues is that
please yourself. Please yourself first.
I know. But like if somebody comes to you and you say no, and then they do that thing of like coming back to you with more reasons why you can't
give an explanation.
So what's the one sentence Zoë Foster Blake way to say no?
You just say, thank you so much. Sounds great. I can't be there, but I hope it goes really well.
Ugh.
Because if you say, oh, I can't do it that week, they'll be like, oh, what dates are you free then? Never explain. Just say it's a no. And with kindness, because you're like, thank you so much for thinking of me. This is going to be a great event, but it's not for me. And I think it's that really firm boundary. It's not rude. It's a no.
And I guess that's the only way that you're able to focus on the stuff that really matters to you and to do the really, really big projects like building a huge business.
And that is it. And I think also you get to a point where like you got to remember if you're saying yes to someone, that's beneficial to them. That's helping their brand and I would rather help my brand and my team and what I'm doing over here. So that's the choice you make too. You're like, oh, I'll back myself instead.
Yeah. I have a theory that the world lies to us a bit about happiness, and that often the moments that we expect to be the happiest actually aren't. And that's sort of what this podcast is about, that there are these times where we have all these ideas about how something should feel and things might look really, really, really shiny from the outside, and that's not the reality. Do you have an example of a time where externally things looked great, but under the surface they weren't?
Probably. Although hand on heart, I try never to be disingenuous, and I'd rather omit than pretend. I don't think it's helpful to portray that perfection. I know that's obviously a lot of what social media is about, and I know there are a lot of people now who are being very open about their vulnerabilities and their mental health, and I think that's very helpful for a lot of people to see that. I can honestly say that doesn't happen for me very often. There's certainly been big pockets of my life where things were meant to be fantastic and amazing, but that's always not really about the outside observer going, hey, this looks perfect, but me placing those expectations on it and going, you should be having the time of your life. Because I've worked so hard to make it perfect in my mind. I am a perfectionist. I don't think that's a positive thing. I think it's actually really fear masquerading as perfectionism. A big one was the arrogance of taking a gap year after year 12 and sort of telling everyone in my small town, I'm going to the big city, I need a break from study. Oh my God. And taking a year off before going to uni and moving to Sydney in a gust of like speed. I was 17, I had no money, nothing saved. I wasn't going to Africa to help orphanages. I wasn't going to work overseas or travel. I didn't have a job. I just moved to Sydney in a share house, and I only had my grandma and my sister in Sydney. And I had the most miserable, broke, sad, pathetic year of my life. And I would go home for birthdays or 21st or whatever and had to pretend that everything was going great. For example, I was working in the dungeon of the Intercontinental selling their loyalty card as a telemarketer for $0. And so I'd tell everyone I was working at the Intercontinental. I was also a night packer at Coles. I did a lot of terrible jobs. But I now am so grateful for that year, because without the depths of being super duper broke and having not a friend and no clue and just being aimless, I would never allow myself to feel like that again. I just really realized that I need to be busy. I need to have some purpose. I need to have friends, and I need to have some money. So I thank that year, even though it was silly.
Yeah.
And some could say a waste of a year. But because I was also so young, it didn't really matter. I still started uni at the same time as everybody else. Yeah. But yeah, I think sometimes the times when everything's meant to be perfect and you feel like you built it up so much in your mind and it fails, I think it's not a failure, it's a lesson. It's always meant to be.
In your new novel, Things Will Calm Down Soon, something I really took away from it was the kind of unrelenting pressure of being a founder, and how you have these achievements that I just cannot even imagine in terms of what you've built. Yet at the same time, you kind of can't sit there to take it in.
Never.
Because there's always a million other things you need to be doing. Have you had that experience with business sometimes, that you look around and think, this is incredible, but I'm not able to feel it?
It's exact, and I think anyone who works in like media, where you're always thinking about the next show or the next magazine or the next whatever, we're always working however many months ahead. Yeah, it's a real trap, because you never take a moment to stop and think. It's only happened a few times over the years, and it's like it was seeing our products in Sephora in the States, and it's always the Christmas party where I stop and look around and go, oh my God, these people, I love them. Look what they've done. Look what we've created together. Or feedback from customers where, you know, whether it's at an airport or an email, and it's just that pure thank you, this has changed my skin. And I think those little reminders, people might not give founders feedback because they expect that they'll get it all the time, but we really need it because it's a really kind of busy and lonely position a lot of the time. You're the director and you're meant to have all the ideas and you're this eternal tap of creativity and excitement and you're public facing, but you don't get a lot of well, you do get the good jobs, thumbs ups, but you yourself will never actually take a moment to stop.
Yeah.
And you got to force yourself to do it. And I think the Christmas party is always a good one for me.
Does your business, like at that go-to Christmas party, when you see your products in Sephora?
That was in the States, by the way. We're in Mecca in Australia.
Yeah. When you have those moments, is it happiness that you feel or is it something else? Like what does business give you?
I think it's I think it might be a sin, but pride. I feel proud. I feel proud that I didn't know anything about business and I didn't know anything about creating a team and a workplace and a culture and satisfying a customer. I had done it a little bit through my writing, I guess, creating a project that people can hold in their hands and enjoy. But it's pride, and it's always a bit of, how did you get here? This doesn't fit. I wouldn't say it's imposter syndrome. I'm past that for that, but it's pride and a little bit of fascination. Yeah. I'm just going, how? But smile.
Do you get the sense of like, I'm leaving a legacy and I've created something bigger than myself and there's some like almost immortality there?
I wouldn't have said yes to that because it feels silly for a skincare brand to have a legacy. But when I was buying my company back last year, this huge maternal instinct came in and I just felt so protective of what fills my cupboard. I would be bereft if I had no more go-to, let alone the millions of customers who love it and use it every day and our team. And I just thought, this is something that enhances people's lives that they really enjoy. And it gives them a little moment. And without getting too this is saving the earth. It's just a nice moment for people that they like, and it filled a gap, and I'm proud of that. Don't fuck it up. Don't ruin it. It's really, really hard to get a brand that people resonate with. It's really hard to get that stickiness and that loyalty and that community. How dare you ruin that? Like, you're so lucky. So, yeah, I really just went into full speed mode and sixth gear and just went, at all costs, this must keep going. We want to be a household name in Australia. That's our goal. Our big goal is to be a household name in Australia, and we can do it. You know, we've been in biz for 10 years, and I think we'll get there.
What do you think is your biggest strength as a founder?
Ooh. I think creativity, but also coupled with risk. I'm not averse to risk. I think you have to lean into risk and be really okay with both outcomes, and they're not always going to be great. And you won't hear about the bad outcomes. You'll only see the good ones, but that take the chance. And that's what I love about us being, you know, privately owned again and small and nimble, is there is no bureaucracy. We can do whatever we want. And I think sometimes we forget that. And I think when you're trying too hard to think about what the customer's thinking, you're overthinking it, and you need to go back to what we're thinking. Because when I started the brand, I had blinkers on. I didn't care about what every other brand was doing. That was 12 years ago. Now it's a really saturated landscape. And when you're in retail like Mecca and you're up against these beautiful international brands, you have to be a bit more mindful about what you're up against and how you can stand out. So I like that. I think within discipline there's freedom, and I like those boundaries because it allows me to be more creative and push against things a bit more. So I'm always reminding the team to be cheekier, be a bit naughtier. We're the rogue train. Like we take beauty not too seriously. It's allowed to be fun. And we like to make things fun that have no right to be. It's like on the back of the packaging and little moments on the website. We're like, that's allowed. No one said you can't have fun. So I think being cheeky and taking risks is probably what I bring.
Is that similar to how you approach creativity in general? Like in terms of writing, in terms of every creative project you've embarked on, do you kind of have that cheekiness, risk-taking, a bit of like a no fear?
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't think of myself as fearless. I'm quite an anxious person. But I think with creative projects, I do feel pretty reckless, and I think that's a good place to be in. And maybe I wouldn't have at the start with my earlier novels, because I really needed them to work, so that would validate me and make me get me to do another one. That would like, if that works, then I get to do another one. I still feel that if this works, I get to do another one is kind of my barometer of success, as well as how it resonates with the reader. So it's a funny thing because you sort of, there's a selfishness to writing a piece of work that you're really happy with and you love, because I guess you're meant to be writing for the reader. But I can't write for the reader because I don't know what they want and what they're thinking. So I have to try and assume that what I like is good taste.
Yeah.
And that's arrogant, I guess. But I feel confident enough at 44 in my taste and in my work to be able to work on it to a point where I feel like it's good enough to go out there. And I could edit for 10 years. I really could. And I could hone and hone and hone. But yeah, so I feel fearless. And I loved Things Will Come Down Soon because to me it felt genuinely innovative in terms of it's not a business book, but you can learn so much about business in it. And I just thought that Venn diagram, a crossover of a founder who's an active founder, a proven entrepreneur and a fiction writer coming together to offer something unique, something for everyone, hopefully. So, yeah, I think you got to back yourself.
As somebody who knows absolutely nothing about business, reading Things Will Calm Down Soon was so fascinating, and you could really feel the stakes in a really interesting. I don't think I've ever felt stakes like that because you don't really read books about business and especially women in business.
Yes.
You so rarely read those stories, yet it feels very of the moment because there are so many female entrepreneurs, there are so many women building their own things. How did you decide? Because as a reader, part of my fascination is trying to work out parallels and who's who and looking at all the characters. How did you kind of creatively break your own experience and writing something that was going to be very, very distinct and not kind of make people look at your life and wonder all sorts of things.
Oh, and they will, and that's okay. The reason I love fiction is it's very freeing and it's very liberating. And God, I remember even back in Air Kisses days talking to Mia about it, going, "Oh, I might write like it's a bit of a autobiographical." And she goes, "Are you insane? You're 25." You're going to burn all your bridges way too early.
Yeah.
And my father as well, he's like, fiction is so fun because you can mutate 10 people into one to get the perfect person with the perfect idiosyncrasies. And so for me, each character works hard in this book to pull the narrative through. There's no fat in there. They're all there to support Kit's trajectory and to show the different facets of her life and her personality. So I can hand on heart say this is not my life and these are not my people, but certainly there's aspects of these people that I've known. And also I mentor a lot of young founders and I've heard their horror stories. And so a lot of that have come in. I didn't want to write my deal. My deal is unique and circumstantial and it's been written about and I wanted to create something new. And also every deal and every business is so specifically impersonal and it's a moment in time and, you know, there's so many factors that come into the success of a business. So I didn't want to necessarily replicate my own story.
I think what makes the book so vivid and you become so in Kit's world because your creativity and marketing brain is all over it because even the business that Kit has, which is Second Day Hair, you can't help but be like, can somebody invent that?
I know, I'm thinking about it.
I genuinely, I was like, did you get halfway through the book and think, oh, wait, maybe I should also invent the product?
Yeah, it's trademarked.
But actually, oh, you're so smart. Part of me was like, maybe I should steal that idea.
Not the first. I mean, there are products out there that exist like this, but it couldn't be skin.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do makeup. Hair, I'm obsessed with hair and hair products and styling. So I know honestly about 6 or 7 stylists who become good friends who all want to have their own brand or have started. And so it made perfect sense. But the product itself had to be something that doesn't exist really and could be very useful to a lot of people. So of course, lived experience. I'm going to put a bit of myself in there and what I would do if I was a founder. But yeah, Kit exists as my parable to show everything I've learned. And after my deal, I honestly sat down and went, I feel the duty of taking everything I've learned from these very expensive lawyers and advisors to share that knowledge with people who are like me perhaps and are creative and have no clue about this stuff. And I ran my gamut for a year and I'm like, okay, here's what I learned, guys, quick, I needed to get it all down.
And I think it's actually, obviously it's an amazing book and it's a page turner and I read it so bloody quickly. But I also think that there's something quite altruistic about it because as a woman who I can be kind of creative, the idea of owning anything doesn't come naturally. And the idea of trying to build something for yourself doesn't come naturally. And so reading somebody's story where she does that and then all the nuances of how you set up the company and what that then means down the line and having to have really difficult conversations. Even the role modeling of the difficult conversations that Kit had was actually incredibly insightful. Is there anyone who's going to read your book and see themselves or be pissed off?
No. It's not, it shouldn't feel like that sort of book where like I'm, scorched earth about anything. It was all of the stress in Kit's life she brought on herself. She didn't do that. But I think the lessons that I put in there were kind of really dramatized in terms of like equity, giving away too much equity at the start or selling to people who didn't really have your best interests at heart. And I think I got to these positions or pivotal moments in my business career where I could have made those mistakes. And so I put them in the story to act as protection and go, maybe not do that. So that was the real head fuck for me with Kit was like, do I want to show her making all the wrong decisions or do I want to show her making the right decisions? But how do we learn from that? So I had to find that sweet spot where she falters, but anyway, I won't spoil it. But it's certainly she's learning as she goes, which I did too.
How do you go with being a perfectionist and being a writer?
I think it's a skill. I don't see it as a negative until submission time. And that's when a good editor and a good copy editor are really vital, because I overwrote by 30,000 words, which is classic me.
Good problem
I'm a
to have.
waffler.
Good problem.
Well, sort of. But then, and then I remember shaving off like 1,000 and giving it back and going, guys, it's
Don't
ready.
worry, guys.
It's ready. Send to print. And then they're like, you're cute. And then I think we had to get rid of at least another 20,000. So at that point, though, I just realized I'm in the hands of professionals and I don't fight them on it. And there was a few lines. I'm like, no, that's a really good line. Please can we keep that? So, I think you got to hand it over at one point. Otherwise, you'll be paralyzed forever.
Is the perfectionism paralyzing in the first instance? Like when you sit down to write, you wrote a blog post in 2022 called The Writer Who Doesn't, or The Writer Who Isn't, or something like that. And you wrote about how you wanted to establish a writing habit.
And you'll notice I haven't. That was like the last blog. Jesus.
Well, you wrote that blog and now you've got a novel.
And then I wrote a book,
so you did pretty bloody well.
I did something else, yeah.
But when you actually, I can imagine you've got your business, you've got family, you've got all this stuff going on. You sit down in front of your computer. Does the perfectionism emerge then?
No, not till the end. And I'm so down with a rewrite if it's not working. There are a couple of camps of writers. There are the writers who say it's very hard, and I sit down, I get typewriter diarrhea. Once the idea has marinated for long enough, it's all there, and it's just a case of getting it out. Hence the 30,000 overwrite. So for me, my problem is more like, don't overwrite. You're just wasting your time. This is not good. But I like to explore every character and every subplot to give more reflection back to my protagonist. And then in the end, if we realise we don't need that and that can go. And I also really love dialogue. And dialogue is hard to keep brief because real life conversations are super wordy. And I think you learn a lot about characters in conversations with others. So I love dialogue. But no, my perfectionism comes in the end. I love the edit. Some people hate it. It is quite mathematical, which is not my normal brain superpower, because you've got the hard copy, the soft copy, the line edit, the comments underline. Like it's a lot for my brain. But I know we're shaving it off to get to the good stuff underneath.
When you look at all these different things you do, where does your kind of aliveness come from? Is it business or is it writing?
Writing is business for me. So really for a few reasons exist, but one of them was like I wanted to be a copywriter. And I wasn't. So I thought, I'll make a brand. Then I get to do my own ads. I get to do my own marketing and copy, as well as the fact that sort of range for, cutting out the beauty editor was what I wanted to do by making a range that anyone could pick up and understand instantly. And it was just genuinely very useful and effective. But I love recommendations and I love saving people time and money. I'm like, just use this one. And that's what I've done as a beauty editor for 10 years. But the writing. So I still write all the copy on primary and secondary vessels for the brand. Whatever you hold in your hands, I've written. I have an amazingly talented team who do all the emails and social and everything. They're great at that. But if you're holding it, I've written it because I love that stuff, that little moment in the shower where you get a little giggle. So I am a writer no matter what I'm doing. Really, that's the essence of it all. Whether it's Instagram, I'm a writer. The fiction is secondary. It's anything. Children's books, even though they are literally called picture books, I still want the writing to really zing. And of course, novels. So the perfectionism, it runs through everything.
How do you go about, because obviously when Mia offered you the deputy editor job, you weren't into people managing. Have you had to people manage?
Not really. And this is one of the things I put in Things Will Calm Down Soon, is that it's often feels creative founders often hire junior to start off with to help them with admin or menial tasks. But as Kit does, she hires very senior very early on. And I think that's a good move because I know what I'm good at, and it's not people management and it's not running in a team and logistics and that sort of thing. So I have a CEO and a CMO, and I have grown-ups in there doing that. And that was a big, important step in our growth. And in about 5 years in, where I'm like, there was 10 of us, say, doing everything and not all of it great. And so we brought in the grown-ups, we always say, and they're fantastic. So no, I think you can know what you're good at and invest in what you're not good at.
How do you go being Zoë Foster Blake, the founder and person working in this business, and Zoë Foster Blake, the brand? Like, are you conscious when you come into work that maybe you've got less of a margin of error in terms of how you behave that day?
Yeah, totally. I think that's when you become a public figure, that's always in your mind, anywhere you go and whatever you do, particularly when your husband's a beacon for that stuff. So you get used to being watched. I don't think my team do that. We're good people and we're all in it together. But I think the public-facing aspect of being a brand founder is pretty highly scrutinised, particularly in beauty. Never used to be, but it's become very studied.
And does that scare you? Does it give you anxiety?
Yeah, totally. And it's an ongoing learning curve for me. There's been I think a lot of it comes back to my mental health at that point and how capable I am of dealing with shit. So if I'm getting into trouble online about something that we've done as a brand, if I have not been sleeping, if I'm super stressed and already pushed, that affects me really a lot more, of course. But if I'm in a good, clean state of mind and I've been looking after myself, it's amazing the difference it can do. So that will always happen. It's just how I can react to it. And that's my goal in terms of personal improvement, as to not being so reactive and recognising it's a moment in time. My people-pleasing, anxious side wants to fix it immediately. And I'm always, I want to write back and defend ourselves. That's my first thing I want to do. And that's the first thing you shouldn't do is never defend yourself. Just, people will be upset about things and you have to be respectful and also know what you know to be right. So it's always going to be complicated, that parasocial sort of relationship, particularly if you feel like you're in trouble. Because I don't like feeling like I'm in trouble like most people, particularly if you don't feel like you've done the wrong thing.
There are examples in the book where there will be certain things going on online, or even there's tiny doses of kind of cancel culture sprinkled throughout, which is so clever because that is part of what it is to be a founder in this day and age. I know that sometimes you'll read something about yourself and you're like, whatever, I don't care. And then there are things that really upset you and sometimes you can't even articulate why. What hurts? In the book, there's certain things you can see that really get under Kit's skin. Are there things that get under your skin when people say it?
I think it's assuming our intentions were other than what they were. So for me, it's everything we do as a brand is intended and designed and carefully calculated to be joyful and educational and nurturing. That's what our company does, and that's why we put all this effort into producing products and marketing them. So when people say that you've done otherwise, it shouldn't get under my skin, but it really does, because one of my key areas to work on is being defensive when I feel caught out or when I'm being accused of something I don't think I did. Ask my husband. It's fun. So yeah, it's definitely, and there's a group of founders that I have that when one of us are going through something, we'll all check in and just say, hey, remember, this is not real. This is just work and it will pass. And all of those wisdom advices that don't really help, but you've got to say it so that you know that you're not alone. So for me, it's just trying not to be so absorb them so easily.
Do you see when people are talking about Zoë Foster Blake online, is that you? Are you good at people? I heard a podcast recently where someone described it as a shadow self, like your online person, the person you are online is not actually who you are. It's a shadow self. And if people are attacking that person, it's you can differentiate because you go, that's not actually me. That's some avatar image of me that they don't actually know. Are you good at that? Or because you're so authentic online and you've built your identity with authenticity, is it easy to get it confused?
It's both, I think, because you're right, it is an avatar, and I generally use social just for work now and my cats, because I don't feel inspired to share much more of my life than that. I don't think I need to, and that's why I write fiction, so that I can, experiences that I have, I can weave into stories, and that's the fun of it. I also don't think I'm that interesting, so I don't know why I would want to share anything more than I do. I think we take it personally just because we're human beings, right? And I don't want to ever misstep because it's not worth the hassle. But I also am aware that it's not a real world, Get out, I was like, put your feet in the grass and eat a banana. Just go and be back in the real world, play with the kids and remember what's really happening. And it's funny because something will blow up and you'll be so convinced that everyone's thinking about it or talking about it. And you'll talk to a friend and they're like, what?
Yeah, what are you
I
talking
didn't see
about?
that. And I love those moments because like, yes, snap out of it. Get your head out of your ass and get back into nature or whatever's going to help. So, yeah, they come and go pretty quick. I'm pretty good at just going, that's not really real life. That's not my real life. I'm at home in my tracksuit pants with my kids making dinner and that's a shiny, glamorous girl that someone's got an idea about. It's two different things.
Are you happiest when you're writing?
I am really happy when I'm writing, but I'm like a little squirrel who needs treats all the time. So I can do deep writing for like maybe an hour or two, and if you're the same, then I need something. Maybe it's a scroll, maybe it's an actual physical scroll. Maybe it's
that always helps.
Yeah. And then by the end of the day, I'm dying for the kids to get home because I'm like, blah, 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 I need to talk to someone and engage. So I love the balance. And in fact, my perfect sort of day is, a bit of family, a bit of social, bit of writing, as in social interaction, bit of writing and some nature. And, family time is beautiful and built in. I also really love riding bikes with my family. I've really found that to be a happy place because I can't relax, but that's active relaxation for me. I cannot sit still. I don't like not being productive. It's a problem I have. So being physically moving, but in nature and relaxing with my family just ticks so many boxes.
Do you strike me as someone who's somewhat introverted.
Oh, yes.
And yet your life is so public and there are all sorts of aspects to what you do as a career that are public facing, require some level of social energy. You go to like, even as a beauty editor, went to like fancy events and now you'll be at, the Logies, you'll be at all these kind of very highly social situations. How do you find those?
We don't go to many at all. If you actually think about it, it's like we'd go to the Logies and maybe, that's it. So it does really exhaust me. And I probably had a lot more energy for it when I was in my 20s and 30s being a beauty editor and so on. But now I really notice that drain. And it's only because of thank you to social media, like the language around everything for me to understand that I'm a highly social skilled introvert and I can come in big and do the thing and I can be on stage and do a signing and whatever and film things and then I'm like shell. Like all of us, well, a lot of us, we have to go home and put my soft clothes on and not talk to anybody. What I realized as I got older is just leaving time in between those things to regroup. Because if I don't look after myself, I'm no good to anybody. So even with this book tour, I was like, I'm not doing back-to-back events. I'd rather take more time and give a better version of myself to people than be this tired, which is not stringing two words together. I don't know how like proper successful famous people do it, like doing a full press tour for like a month or musical theatre people have to be on stage every night. I don't have it in me at all.
I'm so fascinated by it. I've always said my worst nightmare, I think, would be being in the Big Brother house.
Oh my God,
I think about it all the time.
Or Survivor or Alone. God. I have a lot of shows that would never go on.
Because I'm like, oh my God, imagine having to be just on. And then it's like, I'm like, I'd probably come across as quite cold. it's not coldness, it's just tiredness.
Yes, and anxiety about what I'm going to say. And
Really?
what did I say?
Yeah.
Did I say the wrong thing? Did I say too much? Oh, my God. So, yeah, I am pretty socially anxious, even in my own office with my team. I just, I'm a bit of a goose actually at the heart of it. But I can do it good in short bursts. And I'm like, if I can just get that short burst out, I'll be all right.
Do you like interviews?
Well, I used to be on the other side of them, which was probably a bit easier. I don't mind them if it's about the work. You know, I can go so deep talking about creativity and marketing and ideas and writing. I really love that stuff. I don't get asked it very often though. It's not usually the questions that people want to ask.
People are like, let me ask about the gossip. Yeah. Your career, it spans so many creative industries. And do you worry in terms of looking at the future where to put your energy and that it's going to be finite? Like if you look at the next like couple of decades, does it feel like you really have to intentionally choose where to put your energy?
I guess you should, but I don't. I love the surprise and delight of life. Like it could be that my or my husband's work could change at big time at any point. We could move and we could anything could happen. I also love that writing has no expiration date and I can still be doing it when I'm 75 unless AI comes in and does a better job of it. I'm a bit nervous about that. So I feel like I'm able to always have that work, thankfully. I don't need to be young or glamorous for it. I can just always write. And same with running a business and doing it well. As long as I have the ideas, and I do have so many ideas, it's not the lack of ideas, it's the follow through and the execution and which ones are actually worth backing is probably the big question for us. So no, I get excited about what's next. You never know what could happen. I was just like, God, what will I be doing in my 50s, 60s? And I'm like, who knows? Who cares? Like, just go for it. Like, could be writing for TV or I have no idea. I love that.
When you think about your life, what do you think is the thing that when you're an old woman, I'm going to say like 120 because that's how old we're all going to live to. What is it when you look back on your life that will have made you happy? Like when you really zoom out, what is it that is the happiness?
I think it's human connection. And I put that to being a good partner, being the kind of parent who doesn't fuck up their kids too much. I know I'm going to do it without knowing what I'm doing, but that legacy of parenting well, which is a full-time job now, as we all know. My mum's always like, God, your generation, you really deep dive on this stuff, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, well, I wonder why. Yeah. And the connections that I have with friends and people in the world, I really think that human connection and community, also that purpose. Someone asked me the other day, what do you think your purpose is? And it is a great question. And I'm not still confident in the answer, but I think it might be teaching, and not teaching in terms of teaching, but teaching people how to look after their skin, teaching people how to do a business, teaching people how to, all the romance and writing relationship stuff I did. Or even with the picture books, teaching kids how to write funny stories. I don't know. But vaguely I feel like that's sort of the thread through all of them, is just that. And not because I'm in the position of expertise, but just because I think I also love the example of just being a rat from the bush who's come in and with no clue and accidentally done a good job of business. I think that's something to be proud of, because I know a lot of people put a lot more time and energy into learning how to business, and I somehow snuck through and did it too.
That's really interesting, that idea of teaching. And I do think that is a thread through your entire career, because so many people I know who love you, it's people have come in at different moments. And like I've got a friend who went through a breakup and you were her absolute, all she talked about was how you were her guru. And when I was pregnant, I had all this pelvic pain.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
And I went so deep on like, Zoë Foster Blake, what'd you do? Okay, osteo. Like there are all these different avenues where people connect to you. And I think it's because you're very generous with what you share and how you share it, and recommendations and being honest about the things that maybe people aren't always honest about. It's like, especially when it comes to something like business at the moment, like that so many people are they gatekeep. Gatekeep the business information.
It's weird, isn't it? And there's a very specific character in the book who is really generous, and she's got an American sensibility to business, which is very different to Australian, which is, oh, I know a guy, I'll hook you up. I'll know this. And often, unfortunately, in Australia, particularly when I was starting out, no one would share their chemist or their factories or anything, their packaging people. Now, of course, you've got full service companies that will do that all for you. It's changed so much. But I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that helps everybody. There is enough pie for everybody. And I think a greedy, gatekeepy mindset, it will only come back to you. Generosity doesn't cost anything. You're helping so many people. I get teary when people come up to me and say, oh, I read Breakup Boss and then I gave it to 7 of my friends. It really, really helped. Or thank you, your face oil helped my eczema, or whatever it may be, because I'm like, I didn't intend for that to be the outcome, but I'm so glad it did. Or even like, I took your restaurant recommendation for Queenstown. I'm like, great, I saved you some time and you had a good meal. I love that. I love that because I wish for that. I just want the edit of life. Please, can I have the edit? What supplement do I take? What's the meditation app that I should be using? What's the book to read? Like, clear the clutter and just let me get to it.
And it's also a bit of a fast track to human connection.
I think it is.
Is that you're able to, like, I went to read a book the other day and I'm like, oh yeah, this got recommended to me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I saw it on Zoe's Instagram.
It got recommended. What was it? Do you love it?
It's the Taffy.
Long Island Compromise.
I was like, oh, I loved her first book. I must read that.
Yes.
And
she's brilliant.
But it is that idea of having somebody you can trust and, you know, their recommendations have served you well in the past. You feel connected to them.
Again, it's the hubris because I'm like, who's to say my taste is your taste? But it's not like I chose that book out of, like, they're usually prize winners and they're very zeitgeisty. But I'm like, if you haven't read these, do. It's amazing. But yeah, I like the time-saving aspect. And it's really just putting out what I want to get back, which is, you recommend me something. Yeah. We all help each other out.
What currently keeps you from happiness?
Keeps me from happiness. I think it's usually sleep. I think sleep is it's very well known for a lot of people that sleep is my number one mental health kryptonite. So I prioritize it at all costs. And if I've slept, I can do anything. If I haven't slept, I'm a monster. And I've become very good at power napping to get back on track, like to start the day again, to take the nap, start fresh, which I think napping's got a bad stigma, but a lot of writers nap. It's better than a fourth coffee or it's a 20-minute meditation or yoga nidra or something. So sleep is what keeps me from happiness, and probably fear a little bit, just what we're going back to before about like putting things out into the world and hoping that it hits. And then the amount of times we put up a new product or a launch or something and I'm waiting for the thing we did wrong. What's going to blindside me here? Even with the book, I'm like, have I offended someone, or have I that world we live in now where I'm on edge of that vigilance of like, what can they get me for here? Which is very telling, I think. So I'm always aware that that's going to happen without trying to preempt it or manifest it. It's a fine line. So, yeah, I think I'm happy to take risks, but I'm also aware that it's not for everyone, and that's okay. I don't want to be for everyone. You know, I think there's that saying that if you try and be for everyone, you are, by definition, average. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just find your people and write for them.
Who are you when, in terms of sleep, because I think maybe a lot of people realise the importance of sleep when they have a child for the first time, and you're like, oh, yeah, I thought I'd been sleep deprived before. No. What does lack of sleep, how does that manifest in terms of mental health? I'm a bitch. I'm snappy with my children. My anxiety ramps. I can't write. My dopamine hunting is increased 100-fold by food, by scrolling, by just silly tasks that don't actually need doing. I just feel wayward. So I don't have that focus, and I really need that. And I think, I'm 44, so perimenopause is a real thing. The anxiety and the sleeplessness,
big thing. So I've had my diagnostics and I've got something to help me sleep now, and it's medicinal CBD and THC, fabulous, highly rate. And so I just needed to sort that out at, like I said, before anything else would work, because I have this limit of 3 nights bad sleep, and then I will book a fucking hotel. Like I need to sleep. Something's got to give. So I've never got to that stage, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, because one night adrenaline.
Yeah.
2 nights you feel terrible. 3 nights I'm irrational. I've lost all rationality.
Yeah.
And then I actually start convincing myself I don't need sleep, and that's when you know you've gone nuts.
Yeah.
It's you're like, sleep. Who needs sleep? And then you're like, I need.
Oh, I've never got to that stage. So that's very hard with a young child. Yeah. It's very hard. And I had with my anxiety only started when I had children. I wouldn't have characterized myself as an anxious person prior to that, but a baby who I had to keep alive was a big deal. And the sleep was not great.
No.
Bad cycle.
Contributes to it. When you are tired, getting defensive, not being your best self, are there people around you? Because I think sometimes in terms of our happiness, sometimes we're not even the best person to know how to make ourselves happy. Sometimes the people around us are way better at seeing things objectively. Are there people who call you out and pull you into line?
Oh yeah. Well, my husband, he's a very lovely man, and it's not his first instinct. He'll usually cop a few blows before I'll be like, what's wrong with you? No, but I would have already prefaced it. I'm like, I'm tired. I didn't say the worst sleep last night. Why did the garbage man come at 5 a.m? La, la, la. So I've already let everybody know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he calls me out, of course. And my kids would just say something heartbreaking like, why are you being mean? Why are you being so snappy? It's horrible. So yeah, I know when I'm, it's a wake up in the morning feeling.
Yeah.
It's like I already know it's there. I tell myself, oh, you're being a bitch. Like sort your shit. And it's 20 minutes. I just need 20 minutes to just go and meditate or something, and then I'm such a better person. And I'm really okay with asking for that. And like even in big family function moments where by law you're not allowed to just excuse yourself to do anything, but I'm like, I don't like any of you for a minute, so I'm going to go just become a nicer person, and then we're going to have a great day.
I think maybe I need to do that. I need to do that in a lot of social situations, because otherwise I push through and I'm like, it's written all over my face.
Yes.
Everybody knows how I'm feeling.
Yes.
I think I'm hiding it.
Yeah,
I'm not.
No.
Right now, you've got a new novel out.
Mm-hmm.
Things will calm down soon. You've got a wildly successful business. Are you happy?
Yeah. To the point where when this podcast was pitched, I was like, no, I can't do that. I am happy.
Won't be very interesting.
I should be very disingenuous to sit there and pretend like I'm not the most lucky woman on earth. No, I feel not only happy but thriving. I feel inspired. I feel very fortunate. I know we're not allowed to say lucky, but I do feel lucky. I feel grateful. I think gratitude is my massive antidote to sadness or anger or irritability, is just to switch it to a mindset of gratitude, which does sound like a privileged thing to say, but anyone, no matter your situation, can turn to gratitude just for the health of my children, my family, this incredibly fortunate life I'm living. So I'm very happy, and I feel excited and compelled. And that is because I took care of myself this year. When I wrote this book, Things Will Calm Down Soon was something I would throw out all the time, and we would laugh. Ha, ha, ha. No, it won't. Hamish would be like, that is your life, you idiot. Come on. But then this June, I actually for the first time had a proper break from work, because the book was in at the printers when you can't do any more except start publicity, and Go-To was in a bit of a production phase, so there was a lull, and I was able to just take a couple of weeks to not be the sort of level of stress Kit is in living day to day.
Yeah.
Which was very normal for me for about 3 years, because I had 2 deals and a novel and day-to-day work and young family. And I felt like a different person because I was very burnt out at the start of the year, burnt out adjacent. And I went to a health camp, which I hadn't done for 8 years. And I was a different person when I came back. And I remember at the start of this year, my mum, she always does my numerology. She's like, you're in a 7 year. And I'm like, fuck it. I need to be in a 4 year, 4 years a work year. And she goes, you've done your 4 years. She goes, you're in a 7 year. And I'm like, but that's like, it's inner and it's meditative and you learn new skills and you'll take care of yourself and you go in. And she said, but can't you see how important that is in this year? And I'm like, no, this is my big year. This is our go-to's 10th birthday. My book's out. I've got 2 children's books out. I need to be the peacock this year. And she said, but you can't do any of that if you haven't looked after yourself. And so that's why I have boundaries around eventing or filming or anything that takes a lot of energy from me, and all family time. Weekend is family time, and all of those boundaries are in place to protect me so that I can do better work and have a better mindset and be happier. And sleep, sleep. Our whole family, I made them obsessed about sleep. The kids don't care. Hamish and I are very devout sleep. Sleep is our religion.
Do you feel like now that the book is out and the business, I mean, as somebody who doesn't understand business at all, the business is in a really good place. Have things calmed down?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's a weird time to be talking about the book because things did calm down for June. For June. And now I'm busy again. But I think I needed that. I needed to know that it could calm down because
that the soon was coming.
Yeah, I needed to know it was a fact, not just this myth of this carrot dangling of like one day. So I know it can be calmer, and I know this. It's on me. It's how much I undertake. But I love new projects. I love starting a new book. I'm already excited to write a new book. I like to be busy. I like to be working. I like to do good work to the point where even if they weren't published and weren't read, I would still want to do it. So yeah, it's me not starting a new project too quickly, and I've got to hold myself back. I'm like, get this baby out first. Please just focus on this book. Don't start a new one yet. So I'm back. Feels good.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.